right, welcome back. We're Sideninehomestead. Sean.
I'm Jody.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining us once again. Hey, please like and subscribe this video. All right, so today's actually been day 51. So we want to kind of give a really quick 51-day update, but not go on too much about that. We wanted to talk about how the carnivore lifestyle has changed us, or I guess how we've changed socially with the carnivore lifestyle. So
I'll show you how to make these amazing shotgun shells. We did the snake method with them too. So you have 2 layers of the briquettes on the bottom, 1 on the top. Look at those, they look amazing. Wonderful glaze on them, and they are the perfect snack.
all that bacon.
On the Weber kettle.
Delicious. All right, we'll see you back in 15.
Move that butter around a little bit, let that melt.
That's kind of what this topic will be about.
But first, what everyone always wants to know is how much weight have you lost?
Oh, yes.
So you can go first.
Shockingly, I'm down over 26 pounds. And so at one point in my life, I weighed probably 270 pounds, which was not healthy at all. Right? I drank Barks root beer and I ate brownies pretty much every day. And this was with prior marriage and everything. It was lost, right? But anyway, when I met this one, I weighed 2 pounds less now than when we met. And so yeah, I put on a lot of weight after we met, as did she. And I've lost all that weight plus some. So I'm now down to like 216, which I haven't weighed 216, which is probably big for a lot of people, but 216 for me, I mean, I'm 5'11", 216 now. I used to lie and say I was 235 when really I was 245. But yeah, so 216 and I'm happy. My goal is 200. If I could get to 200, because I think if I weigh 200, because I have broad shoulders and whatnot, if I weighed less than 200, I might look like malnourished, but we'll see. But I'm shooting for 200.
Okay, I'm not going to give numbers because, he doesn't even know how much I weigh, I don't think. Hopefully
I
not.
have no idea.
Good. Let's keep it that way. But, so as of now, I am down 22 pounds. I'm still actually quite a bit over from where I was when we met. So let me do math real quick. Like 28 more pounds to be back to where I was when we met. I know. It's kind of shocking, like how tiny I must have been back then. But, I think that happens a lot in relationships, whether it's marriage or just long-term relationships. You get comfortable with each other. And what do couples do a lot? You go out to eat. And when you go out to eat, you don't always make the healthiest choices. And, things just added on over the years. And of course, wine and alcohol didn't help with that matter. So anyway, I still have a ways to go to get to where I want to go.
But I keep telling her she can't lose 26 more pounds. Okay, so when men get older, and I would think this would be for most men because I talk to a lot of friends, right? The older we get, we're not looking for the skinny little thing anymore, right? We're looking for a nice, healthy woman, right? And a nice, healthy woman is, I think, where she's at now. And she keeps like, I'm going to lose 26 more pounds. I won't see you if you turn sideways. So we have some banter back and forth that, like, what am I going to hold on to if you lose 26 more pounds?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think he'll be all right. But anyway, so I have 2 different goals in mind of where I want to be, and I'm just going to kind of take it in stride and see, how things look, because it's funny, as what did I lose to? A little over 2 pounds this past week, but the change, again, like, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you look at like just the recomposition of my body and where things are falling and the shape of me that's changing, it's really been a big deal. So I'm not really fixated on a specific number, but we'll just kind of see how things go.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of comments to back that up too. Even though, and this has happened to a lot of people via the comments, right? That even though you're not really losing that much weight for a particular week, things are adjusting where you had this big fat right here for a man or something, right? You lost that fat, you gained muscle, right? So there's a trade-off between all the fat and muscle. So yeah. You're not going to lose weight. Because a lot of people were concerned too. They expressed concerns in comments like, I haven't lost weight in this so much time. And so that's the reason why. Is that it's turning fat into muscle, and you can see definition. Okay. So in our last video, day 45 update, we went through extensive pros and cons and recommendations. We're not going to do that now because we did that in our last video. So watch our 45-day update for pros and cons and recommendations. But there were a few other pros that vanished and we didn't realize until we sat down and kind of thought through, are there any additional pros or cons we wanted to bring up with our family here? And there were a few. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You can go.
Okay.
I'll let you go.
So there were a few other pros that I don't know how I missed, but I did, right? So, I was really overweight. I don't drink my Lanta on a daily basis and all that stuff. But when I would eat a little bit of food, or if I had an alcoholic drink and then ate a little bit of food, I would get so bloated. And this is before we started this, right? I'd get so bloated feeling that I couldn't eat or drink. And if you ask any of my friends, the biggest thing is you can't feed him, right? He'll turn into a gremlin, right? Or I guess it was water. But, if I ate anything before we got with friends to drink and just like play darts or throw darts or whatever, I was out because the bloating was horrific. I'm never bloated anymore. It's wonderful. I could eat and eat and eat meat now, like what we do, until you're comfortably full. And I never get bloated. So that's a big plus. And I did for years. I was always like sniffling, right? I would always like every 3 minutes go, just like that, every 3 minutes for years. It annoyed the heck out of me. It annoyed everyone. And I would go to blow my nose and nothing would come out. It's just, I did that for years. It was like a tick of some sort, right? Gone. And that was something that we had just realized, I don't go like that. Because when I have some videos when I was doing some of the building out here by myself, and you would hear me, and she'd say, you have to stop doing that. I'm like, I can't. I don't know, But anyway, that's gone. And then I'll turn it over to Jody because she just has two as well. But so there were a lot of questions. People were concerned. The bowel movements, right? Number 2 in particular. A lot of people were asking, did that change because their experience changes too? Yeah, for us, I used to do number 2. I used to have bowel movements twice a day, and it would be a lot, right? Before this whole lifestyle change. And now, and I would go through like a roll of toilet paper, not a whole roll, but I mean, it was just, so now it's probably one of those big, large Tootsie Rolls once every 3 days, maybe once every 3 days. It's like very minimal. And we take it that our bodies are processing that meat, the protein, and converting it to muscle, right? We're burning fat, a lot of fat, and our bodies are so efficient now that you can tell. So it's normal. It's normal based on the two of us, it happening to two of us, a lot of feedback from a lot of viewers and listening to other people too. So, the pro is not having to spend a lot of time in there and saving a lot of money on toilet paper. All right, let's move on. She's got one or two here too.
So some of the things for me that I noticed, and it was, again, sometimes they're just little fleeting things that you figure out, hey, that hasn't happened in a while, or wow, that used to happen all the time and it doesn't happen anymore. So I would get usually like some seasonal eczema. It usually was in the winter behind my ears especially, and they would get really like red and raw. The skin would peel. And then also it started on the inside of my ears where they would get really dry, itchy. I'd be scratching at them. Sometimes they'd bleed. I could peel skin. Like, it was so frustrating to me because it happened all the time. And then as I got older, it was happening more so year round. It wasn't just a seasonal thing. So, but I said to him the other day that my ears aren't dry anymore. I don't have that issue that I was having with them where I was always, and you go to the doctors and they always look in your ears and they're like, stop picking at your ears, stop doing that, don't use Q-tips, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to say that I use Q-tips, but I do. But I don't have the skin and the itching and the dryness, and behind my ears was the worst part because the way your skin folds, it would almost like crack and then it would bleed and it was really painful. So that was a good thing for me because I have, it's just kind of debilitating, especially when it's that bad. The other thing I do sometimes get eczema around my eyes. It's gotten better. It's not 100% gone, but it has gotten much better. Like, again, they used to peel and crack and it was really frustrating. And, you try all these different ointments and things and nothing really did anything for it. It's getting better. It's not nearly the way it was before, but still some more healing to go with that. So those were my other pros that I had.
So big thing is routines, right? Everybody thrives. Children thrive with routines, right? Everybody always says you have to have a routine, right? You go on vacation, it's chaos for a week with family, and you're like, oh, you're back home. Finally, you're back to your routine. Life is good. Everybody's calm and cool. So, having routines is an excellent way of life, right? So we wanted to share that, when we started the carnivore lifestyle, right? We broke all of our routines.
All of them.
We stopped drinking completely. We stopped going out to dinner completely. We stopped going. There's a local moose that we have that we go to. All the neighbors go. So it's a good time because you catch up with all your neighbors. We'd go there maybe once a week. Mm-hmm. And you just catch up with your neighbors, hear what's going on, build relationships, and I mean, plus everybody, you know what everybody does for a living. So if you ever need a hand or something, you know who to reach out to, right? So, we stopped going to the moose, stopped going out to dinner. And we would go out to dinner just maybe we'd go out maybe twice a week, right? We'd go out in the middle of the week and we go out on Saturdays, right? So that was, any other routines? I mean, those are like our routines. Coffee. We drank coffee in the morning. We might have, other than the 2 nights of going out, we might have wine another night. So we stopped everything completely, 100% on day one. So we broke all our routines. So we were kind of lost in the beginning. I mean, there were some videos that some people that we subscribed to that we watched. Nobody really talked about that or, what we were getting ourselves into. So we wanted to jump into it completely, 100%, just because we were seeing all the positive reactions, all the positive health benefits and all that. So we wanted to take it 100%. So we changed everything. And it was hard. Like the first week, we were lost.
Yeah, we come home from work and we were just like, well, what do we do now? Well, and it would be like, the most perfect evening, like hot, sunny, like, oh, it'll be great. We can sit outside on the pavilion and have a nice drink.
Turn on the music and relax.
Like, well,
we're not doing that.
Maybe we could go clean the chicken coop. That'll be fun.
Go clean a toilet. Wait, we don't use the toilet anymore.
So just different things like that. And it didn't take long for that to kind of, okay, so now that is actually another point that I didn't think of now that we're talking about this, is like you do get a lot of your time back in your life. So like for that first week, we did get a lot of stuff done around here, like little things. Owen has that list of like, are all the things that annoy me around the house or the property or whatever that I'm gonna get to someday, because
Actually,
I
that's
just,
true.
you know what I mean? Like, we talked about some of the stuff around the barn that we were, like, oh, I just want to pull this and put this away and do that.
Chainsaw this dead tree pieces. Yeah,
and we just we never did it because it wasn't a priority. And then now, all of a sudden, we had all this time.
We're not drinking coffee in the morning. We're up early, getting stuff done, barbecuing.
We are. So that's been really good. And I think, and what do they say? Is it 20? I think it's 21 days to form habits. And so that's why we wanted to go really hardcore for that 30 days, like really ingrain ourselves in the lifestyle and this way of eating, and get our body used to, these types of routines. And so now it's like second nature. And like we've talked about in some of our other videos about feeling more comfortable now going out.
So you're jumping a little ahead. Let's pull that back a little.
Okay.
So like
Sorry.
routines, right? So we broke all our routines. We broke everything. And so we tried to socially. So, as per our thumbnail, like we completely became introverted into ourselves, right? Stopped seeing all of the neighbors, stopped seeing friends. We even canceled a big vacation. Mm-hmm. And we did that deliberately, willingly, because we wanted to hit this 100% and
I think that vacation would have hit like day 10 or something, like still really early on, where we felt like, oh, I don't know about going to the beach and all the fun beach bars and all those things that we normally did. We may not be strong enough to kind of say, no, let's just go back to the room and eat bacon. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So we canceled that. Not that we wouldn't have been strong enough, but why? I mean, we still were finding our routines and understanding what you can and can't eat and what you can and can't do. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe we jumped in it too aggressively, but it's worked for us. Mm-hmm. So our biggest social item that we really enjoy doing, like we said, going out twice a week to restaurants, and for years now, for 5, if not longer, mm-hmm. probably longer than that. When we go to a restaurant, we don't go to a restaurant and we sit at a table, order an appetizer, order a meal at the same time, and we're in and out in 10 minutes, right? Like most Americans do. We usually sit in the bar area at a high top. Love my high tops. And I probably talked about that in the last video.
He has a really abnormal obsession about high top tables. He will never sit at a low top peasant table if he can help it. It's like, what do you call it? The OK Corral. Like, he's like, no, I'm not sitting there with commoners.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, our whole shtick is that we like to sit at high tops, and we're there for 2 hours at least, right? Yeah. So, we'll get in. So this is before we started the carnivore lifestyle, right? So we'd get there, we'd order a bottle of wine. We would drink, half a glass each, and then we would order an appetizer, like a charcuterie platter with some meats, some cheeses, some bread, some good Italian bread, and some other stuff, right? And then, we would drink a little bit more, and then if we were still hungry, we'd either get another appetizer or we would split some kind of dinner or something. Mm-hmm. And we would get some more drinks or something, and we would just people watch and just relax. That was mm-hmm. relaxing to us. And we tipped well, and everywhere we went, we were regulars. And they knew it. So, 2 hours, so anyway. So that's we broke all that too. We stopped everything, right? Mm-hmm. So that was really hard, breaking all of that. So in our last video, 45-day update, which you should go watch, we put out a lot of good information. We finally started going, since we skipped our vacation, we started going just on like weekend getaways. And last time we said we went to the Cleveland Zoo. We're in Western Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. So we went to the Cleveland Zoo, and we went out to breakfast, right? And I think we touched a little bit on the last video, mm-hmm. but when we went out to breakfast, there's the meals are always cheaper. So we'd get the meal where it would be just like eggs, bacon, piece of ham, potatoes, bread, all that. And before carnivore lifestyle, we'd eat that up, right? We'd eat all the potatoes, all the bread.
Yeah.
We'd lick that plate clean.
Some of us may.
um, so now, or the past weekend when we did go to the Cleveland to the zoo, we went to a restaurant and we ordered that same breakfast, right? Mm-hmm. And we were like, hold the potatoes, hold the bread, and we just got the bacon, eggs, and sausage. And we were full beyond belief.
Yeah.
We couldn't imagine eating a plate of nice buttery garlic potatoes and a nice...
That sounds horrible.
And a nice thick piece of bread with butter smeared all over it.
No, but we were saying, like, before we would go out to breakfast, maybe once or twice a month we would go out on a weekend to breakfast, and we would eat the entire breakfast. So that would be at, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And by 12:30, we're hungry. Where in Cleveland, we had the breakfast of just the eggs, the sausage, and the bacon. And that was probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we were fine until we went to dinner it was about 3:30. And that was when we ate next. And we were...
Well, we ate probably later, like 4.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
But, we lasted all day on eggs, bacon, and sausage.
Yeah, so...
And walking an insane amount of...
Insane. And drinking a lot of water.
A lot of water.
With electrolytes. You got to have your electrolytes. So we're learning, right? So we're getting together new routines. We're learning what we can and can't do. So socially, we're going back out. So, we did the 2 breakfasts. We went to dinner at 2. We were there 2 nights. So we went to 2 different restaurants for dinner and, got the high top, got water. But we did order food. I ordered a burger. It was a half-pound burger, and I wanted the American cheese and the bacon. And I asked if they had eggs, fried eggs. I wanted an egg on there. Like, nobody has eggs, which is shockingly.
Yeah. Go back to the other video last time about when we talked about the breakfast at the hotels with the bags of eggs and the cartons of eggs.
Yeah, when you're getting scrambled eggs, even at restaurants, if you get scrambled eggs, you have to ask if they're cracked eggs or if they're eggs from a bag or a carton. Because scrambled eggs... Well, anyway, so, that burger for dinner, that's all I ate. It was a half-pound burger, which was a pretty big burger. With the cheese and the bacon. It was wonderful. And that's all I ate. And we took our time.
That's not all we had because we ordered the charcuterie plate.
Well, that was at the other restaurant, the other night.
Oh, I thought that's the one you were talking about.
Oh, no. So, did we get a burger there too? I don't know.
We shared a burger there.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we apologize, right? So I skipped the first night.
As I said
which
in
was
our
the
other
charcuterie
video, I'm always right.
Yeah. So
the
the second night was when I had the burger.
Yes.
And that was after we did all the walking.
Yeah.
And we were great. We filled up. I filled up with that.
Yeah. And that was at 3:30.
And you got baked chicken wings.
Yes. No sauce, no seasonings, nothing. I have my own salt. I have a little shaker I keep in my purse.
Yes.
And it was great.
Yeah. And she looked at me kind of funny. I'll have a burger with the cheese and the bacon, no mayo, no nothing, no bun, no French fries. And she was like, well, do you want something in place of French? No, all I want is the burger on the plate. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the day before is what Jody was saying, was we went to, it was the coolest place, High Tops in the bar area, right? And we ordered a charcuterie platter. And it was amazing.
It was really good.
All kinds of meats and cheeses. There were some olives. There was bread. We didn't tell them to hold it.
But luckily, it was just this tiny little dinner roll that they had sliced. So it was easy to resist because it wasn't...
I smelled it, though.
He did. Yes, again, the sniffling. He has a thing about
sense. It smelled good, but there was no urge to eat it at all.
There was
zero.
The cheeses were so good, and they had some... there were some different sausages and different salami. It was a very well done platter, and it was perfect.
Yeah, so we sat there, enjoyed that, drinking our water with our electrolytes. So socially, we're starting to understand what we can and can't do, where we can go, how we can do things. We're still learning about breakfast. People gave us a lot of really good ideas of what to bring because those breakfasts, we still paid full price, even though the massive pile of potatoes didn't come with it, the bread didn't come with it, all that other stuff that they would want to give you. We still paid for it, even though,
right.
Yeah.
So you're looking, $13-14 for a breakfast of eggs and bacon and sausage, which is
I think it was
crazy.
more than 13 per person, but yeah, it's expensive. So there were a lot of great suggestions. We appreciate that, and we will really start doing the suggestions in the future, because the value to go out for breakfast just isn't there. It's too expensive because they're still charging you for all the potatoes and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then we have to get back to the moose. Now that we're kind of understanding what we're doing, we miss our neighbor. I mean, we see them, but socializing with them is different too. So we're going to start doing that again as well. So that was the big thing about routine, about socializing. Should we have gone full force in at the beginning? I think we should have.
Yeah, and some people are different about that. Like, some people like to baby step their way into something. Like, for us, it was kind of like all or nothing. So remember when we first watched, like, what was it, Food Inc. or something, when we were learning about like preservatives and all the stuff in the house. It's like, as soon as we finished watching something like that, we immediately went to the pantry and started reading stuff, and we were just like, get rid of it. This is garbage. It's like, once we learn something like that, like, we're all in. And so that's kind of how we feel with Carnivore, that we talked about in the beginning that we cleaned out the house and we made it so that it works for us. We're fortunate we don't have, all of our kids aren't living at home, and we don't have all of their food that is not good for us as temptation around. So it's really just what we can eat, and that's what's here, and it makes it a lot easier, I think. So this weekend I had a work conference to go to. So when you RSVP'd in, it asked about any dietary restrictions. So I kind of laughed to myself. I'm like, should I say anything? I'm like, so I filled it out and I put something like, I only eat protein, or something weird. I don't remember what I put because it was a while ago, but I let it go. And so I go to the conference. So breakfast.
This was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. So breakfast, Danish, bagels, some fruit, yogurt with sugar, of course, coffee, tea, water. Okay, so nothing that I could possibly eat. Well, luckily I had breakfast that we had already had from the day before, so I ate before I went. So then lunchtime rolls around and it's a buffet. Now, if I wasn't Carnivore, it was a pretty nice buffet. They did a really nice job. There was a nice salad. They had these potatoes. They had some cooked carrots. And then they had this chicken. So the chicken was breaded, and there was some kind of sauce on it, like some kind of creamy sauce. I don't know. So, and they had rolls, of course, and then tons of desserts and all that. So I'm going through the buffet line. I have my plate. So first thing I put on it are 4 pats of butter with the rolls. Like, and everyone else's plates all piled up, and I got my butter. I'm like, all right, I got butter. So then I get down to, and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do here? The only option I have is this chicken. So I took 2 pieces of chicken that were like kind of not in the sauce. So I took those, and I sat there for like 10 minutes, scraping all the breading off, scraping everything off, cutting off pieces that I couldn't get it off, like making it work as best as I could, because this is all I had. I had a couple beef sticks in my purse, but that probably wasn't going to be enough because this was a long conference from like 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. So I'm like, I got to save those beef sticks for the afternoon because I'm probably going to feel really hungry, especially after eating chicken breast, which have no fat. So hence the butter. So I sat there and scraped. So there's this big mound of like breading on my plate, and then the butter wrappers, and then I ate the chicken with the butter. So
we're still learning, right? Because in the future you'd pack a lunch.
Yes, because that's what I said. I'm like, this was the first time going to this specific conference, and like, you kind of don't know how they're going to do things or whatever. And now that I've been to this particular one, and they do it twice a year, so for the next one, I'll know, oh, okay, I'll just pack my own food and eat that, and it's not a big deal. But I kind of laughed because I remember, other conferences I've gone to, and, sometimes they have a really great lunch option and sometimes not so great lunch options. But I thought it was kind of odd that they only had breaded chicken with a gravy.
Yeah. So we're learning still, right? So that goes back to just,
being prepared.
Yeah, being prepared.
Thinking ahead, and by the way, there were no special lunches for anybody. Like, so if someone said that they were gluten-free or there were no table of special lunches. So they were like, eat your chicken.
So anyway, so that pretty much wraps up the video. We wanted to talk about how it's changed us socially, right?
Yeah.
And routines, right? Because not a lot of people talk about that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've noticed. A lot of people just, hey, I got cured from this, I lost this much weight, this is great, and so on and so forth, right? So we wanted to kind of put a different spin on our videos that people aren't talking about. So I think that whole social thing and routines, and how we said on day one we're breaking everything that we do, and now we're starting to get back into things socially, because now we have confidence, and we know. Well, I guess the big thing too is we know if we eat breakfast, we're good all day.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Where before we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between?
Right.
So that's why we were like, we're quitting everything and staying home for 30 days.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And that's so true, because we don't, like, if we eat a good filling breakfast, we're good. Like, I don't
and
worry.
A good filling breakfast now is just 2 eggs. Actually, what it is for us now is we'll take a steak and we'll cut maybe 8 slices per, 8 for me, 8 for her, and 2 eggs, and that's breakfast.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah, and we're good until dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
that works.
I think we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much for comments. Thank you for stories. Thank you for the vote and confidence, and
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and we read every comment. I try to respond to everyone, so if I happen to miss yours, I apologize, but I do try to respond to all of them as much as I can. So please keep the comments coming, because it does make it more of a community, and we really appreciate that support.
Yeah, and we've been noticing, other folks commenting on other folks, so that's nice too, that everybody's sharing stories and commenting on each other's comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so thank you once again. We'll talk to you soon.